this is Rubber Ducky. What's your 1020? Over.
We got us a convoy. Over.
That's
Truly,
right. Okay.
How prophetic is that jingle?
Yeah,
We got ourselves a convoy.
Mm-hmm. And we, we've been big fans of our Canary Cry truckers. We've got a bigly amount. We've got a bunch of truckers who love listening to the show for obvious reasons, but also it's very long and comes out often. So it's kind of like on their schedule.
Yeah. It's a good trucker podcast.
It's a great trucker podcast.
Solid 4 hour. You can cover some good mileage.
Yeah, we love our truckers. And so we're happy to follow this story. And a lot of people were getting on our case for not following it earlier. We were following it, just seeing what happened.
Sometimes it's okay to wait a little bit for a story to develop.
We wanted more news. And today is that news, Gonz, because today is the big day. A little bit of background for everybody. I did put a Yahoo or Reuters article in the notes for you. It's been an updated article, so I'm not going to read it. But the long story short is Justin Trudeau in Canada the prime minister, a while back. This report is from January 12th. So this story has been developing for many weeks now. But Justin Trudeau put a mandate in place that required all truckers to be fully vaccinated. That includes boosted in order to do their job. And then the Canadian truckers, they pushed back. There was lots of public outcry. There was lots of movement on the part of conservative politicians, as well as grassroots protest movements, including the truckers. And on January 12th, Justin Trudeau came out and changed his mind a bit. And I'll read real quick. Canada will allow unvaccinated Canadian truckers to cross in from the United States, reversing a decision requiring all truckers to be inoculated against the coronavirus, Canada's border agency said on Wednesday. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had faced pressure from the main opposition party and trucking lobby to drop the vaccine mandate for truckers due to come into force on Saturday, saying it would result in driver shortages, disrupt trade, and drive up inflation. And this was a big issue because, I mean, first of all, Canada is a gigantic country geographically.
It's a huge border.
Huge border and a fairly sparse population compared to what we're used to in the U.S. And very spread out. So like truckers are literally, I mean, they're the lifeblood of any society. I mean, they keep things moving. We wouldn't have anything without truckers. But especially for Canada, it's life and death on a pretty regular basis if Canadian truckers are not able to do their jobs. So Justin Trudeau sort of bent a little bit and did not apply this mandate to Canadian truckers who will be allowed to cross the border, but still restricted U.S. and Mexican truck drivers to be vaccinated. Now, this is still a big problem because there's a massive amount of U.S. and Mexican truck drivers who bring goods into Canada and is still bad for the Canadian people. Now, I am going to first say in the U.S., liberal mainstream media coverage of this, oh my gosh, at least up until this morning before the show, was pretty much almost absolutely absent. Couldn't find anything on CNN, nothing on CNBC, nothing on any of these liberal leaning outlets. And we know why. It's just too much. It's too much power to the people. They don't like it. So I had to go overseas. I had to go to the UK to find some adequate reporting. Hilariously enough, I didn't bring it to the show because it's just bad. The only mainstream liberal report I could find was NBC posted a 47-second video, just deep in their website. And There was no reporting, no voiceover, nothing.
Was it the music with some B-roll and some text?
No music.
No music.
No, not even any music.
No music.
There was a couple of little pieces of text, but not a lot and not enough to actually report it. It was literally just 47 seconds of bad B-roll.
Was there text?
There was some text, but it wasn't enough to report the actual situation. And it was bad B-roll. So when I mean that, it'd be like just a long 10-second clip of a truck driving by. And the audio was very loud. So you're just like listening to no music, no voiceover, just loud engine noises. So it was just, it was not watchable. It was impossible for any sort of regular person to watch with any sort of interest. And then it would switch over to like some lady yelling like freedom for truckers or something very passionately, which is like, yeah, great. That's okay. So people are passionate about this, but they had the volume like cranked up so loud and her voice was so shrill. It was just, they purposefully put together an impotent, a worthless, little 47-second video.
To not include music, that production decision, there's
on purpose.
There's a financial part of it. It's like, we don't want to pay the licensing for that. But then also it's like knowing that the music is what provokes people to watch, the emotional response is really generated by the music. To not include it is very strategic in that you don't want anybody to have an emotional response to the story.
Exactly. Yeah. They wanted nobody to connect with the story whatsoever. And it wasn't even a story. It was literally just 47 seconds of bad B-roll.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyways, there you go. That exemplifies the sort of reporting that we were getting on this, at least in the mainstream. But over here at the independent.co.uk, they put together one of these timeline things. Mm-hmm. This is sort of like a meta timeline.
Oh boy.
And I'm realizing now it is not loading very well at all. And it's not even pulling up the original one. Oh, there's pages. Yeah. You got to go back in the pages.
I'm kind of scrolling down. I see that there's some kind of timeline here. I can go older.
Yeah. Scroll all the way down. Go over to the next page of timeline stuff. We're just going to kind of run through this timeline and see where we're at, because a lot has been added. And I wanted to start. Here we go.
Bottom.
I'm going to start at the bottom of the second page.
Okay.
Wait.
It looks like a lot of stuff. Oh, there's a third page.
There's a third page.
Oh,
what's on the bottom of the third page? See, this is the problem too. They just keep updating it.
Stuff keeps
the third page is very short. Okay. So go to the third page because it has important stuff from Trudeau here.
Okay.
So this timeline started getting posted 12 hours ago. It starts with this. Trudeau blasts fringe minority behind trucking convoy. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has blasted the fringe minority behind the convoy of truckers protesting COVID passports at the U.S. border. The convoy is making its way to Ottawa's Parliament Hill on Friday to protest the country's COVID-19 vaccine mandates. Quote, the small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa, who are holding unacceptable views that they are, listen to that. Unacceptable views.
Big minority.
Thought police. This is literally thought police. They have unacceptable views that they are expressing. Do not represent the views of Canadians who have been there for each other, who know that following the science, and stepping up to protect each other is the best way to continue to ensure our freedoms, our rights, and our values as a country.
Irony.
Again, if you have unacceptable views, you are not ensured freedoms, rights, or values as a country. And, there's a lot to unpack there. Everybody gets it. I mean, He's just parroting long debunked talking points, but that's what he does. He's a very inflammatory fellow. The federal government ended a trucker's exemption to the vaccine mandate on 15th of January, which now means that Canadian truck drivers need to be fully vaccinated to avoid a 14-day quarantine when they cross back into the country. Okay, so it sounds like they reapplied that exemption. That exemption that I reported from the 12th, lasted 3 days.
Good job, Trudeau.
And then the exemption ended on the 15th. Okay, see, good. I'm glad I got to this because that was not included in the Reuters report. They failed to mention that the exemption got taken away. All right, let's move on to the next item here on the next page. Down at the bottom starts with GoFundMe releases just $1 million of the $6 million total raised by truckers. The crowdfunding platform GoFundMe says it has released an initial $1 million of the $6.2 million intended to support a convoy of truckers and their supporters, which is currently headed for Ottawa. As CBC reports, the fundraising page was launched earlier this month, blah, blah, blah. So this is a little bit of a interesting aspect, which is these truckers, I went to the fundraising page. Let's see. Actually, we can.
No, I got it here. Sorry,
you got it pulled up.
You were talking and you switched pages on me.
That's fine. Okay, if you got it pulled up,
I have the
okay.
GoFundMe.
That's fine. No need to explain. There you go. So you got the GoFundMe. When I checked last, they were almost at $8 million of support.
Yeah, which is a goal. Yeah, they're at 7.4 right now, or almost 7.5 basically.
Yeah, so they're coming up on $8 million. Now, when Trudeau says small fringe minority, how does a small fringe minority raise almost $8 million? That is pretty crazy. So pretty impressive. And it shows the support that these truckers are having. I mean, that is grassroots fundraising by, I'm assuming, mostly Canadians.
Let's hope GoFundMe doesn't pull the rug on something like this. They
well,
very
that's
easily
kind of
could.
That is kind of the insinuation here. Yeah. They're not releasing all of the funds. They've only released 1/6, and now at this point, 1/7 of the funds.
Wow.
And keep that up. And in fact, if you could pop the link to that GoFundMe into the doc for us, I want to bring that up in a second.
You mean?
Oh, I might have already had
in
it
there.
in the doc.
I've been showing it. Yeah.
Got it. All right. Next on the list, we have U.S. truckers to join Freedom Convoy. Okay, that's good.
All the Elon stuff, huh? Not important to the...
I did not skip any Elon stuff.
Oh.
Elon stuff comes next.
Oh.
Soon. Yeah.
I saw it on the third page there. It's part of the timeline.
Okay, I'm trying to run through this quickly. Okay. So just hold on. Right. And if we miss anything, we can get it afterwards. Okay. So the U.S. truckers joined in. That's good. Go U.S. The U.S. truckers, Canadian truckers, teaming up, baby. Then we have a section on here. Joe Rogan protesting truckers show Canada is in revolt. Controversial podcast host Joe Rogan has spoken out on the Canadian trucker protest, appearing to sympathize with the cause. Uh-oh. That's when you know you're in trouble. Establishments.
the Joe Rogan measure.
Yeah. Next slide here, we've got TikTok captures Trudeau rage amongst truckers.
What is this?
Just some TikTok Twitter videos.
People being mad at Trudeau. Okay, I thought this was Trudeau TikToking, losing himself in front of truckers. I don't think that would end well.
Yeah. Just to give a little bit of, this gives a little bit of a vibe of what's going on. A series of TikTok videos have shared by right-wing journalists on Twitter. Gosh. Which purport to show the extent of the Canadian truckers' protest and the disdain many have for the nation's prime minister, Justin Trudeau. Quote, "It is really fun. There's a festival feeling to it. Trudeau's rage is showing. The convoy." See, isn't that hilarious? They're talking as if the truckers are like, with disdain and rage towards Trudeau, but it's really about Trudeau's rage is showing. The convoy, it continues, is full of happy warriors. One video is captioned by Rebel News Ezra Levant. The TikTok in question also features F Trudeau flag in the foreground as the trucks roll by. Yeah, as many as 50,000 vehicles are expected to continue the long journey to Ottawa on Friday in what is a mass protest movement against vaccine mandates for drivers who cross over the Canadian-U.S. border.
Oh, gosh.
And we'll scroll up.
Starting to feel like this is going to turn into some kind of, I don't know. Keep going.
What do you mean? The event?
I just hope that there's no clash.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we'll get there,
Okay.
my friend.
Okay.
Yeah. Little update here. Kingston police registered just 121 trucks in convoy, disputing 50,000 truck claim. This was one town who counted 121 trucks going through. But a little bit of manipulation in this info, because these trucks are not all in one big line. There's a mistake here, because it's not just one group of trucks as the convoy. It is literally trucks coming from every direction on every, main thoroughfare, making their way to the Parliament building.
Do you think there is a faction amongst the truckers that are like, nah, man, I'm with Trudeau on this one? It's hard to believe that there is anybody, but there has to be, right? Canada does have a very obedient, majority.
Right. And that's why they've been able to get this far.
Okay.
I mean, they may have secret, opposition, but, Canadians, they just like to get along for the most part. It took a lot to get them to where they are now. And there's a Tucker Carlson update. Do we want to play this clip? Freedom Convoy spokesperson claims vaccine passports are really concerning. Tucker Carlson's interview with Freedom Convoy spokesperson Ben Dichter on Fox News saw him reveal the group as dual objectives, while its opposition to vaccine mandates is well documented. Mr. Dichter also explained how vaccine passports are really concerning development in Canada. We want to get rid of the vaccine mandates and the vaccine passports, and that passport, that's the really concerning one, the controversial spokesperson said. Oh, okay, we don't need to play the clip. That's simple enough. Then, it talks about all these crowds, tons of Canadians, filling up overpasses and waving at the trucks in the convoy. And by the way, it's not just trucks and truckers. It's also personal vehicles. You've got Canadians in their own vehicles, joining the convoy, showing their support. And then 5 hours ago, trucks started rolling in to Parliament Hill as protesters chill and cheer. More protest trucks are rolling into Parliament Hill, Ottawa, honking noisily as crowds cheer them on. Demonstrators welcoming the vehicles wave Canadian flags and protest signs bearing messages like "There must be choice" and "Truck off, Trudeau." This might be a fun little video to play here if you want to let it roll for some vibes, so we can get the vibe of the mass event. Top of the second page.
Top of the second page.
Mm-hmm.
Is this? Oh, the Steve G.
Steve G. Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
I haven't watched it, but let's see if we can get some vibes.
Whoa, that is loud. That is the loudest thing ever. All right, well, the truckers, the support is there. Okay, here we go.
Wow.
A lot of people cheering.
A lot of hullabaloo. Yeah, okay. People are showing up, man. It's starting to happen. Okay, that's cool. We get the point. Lots of honks and lots of cheering. Okay, so now trucks started to arrive. And by the way, over on my Twitter account there, I did put out a call for more information on the trucker thing. So if you have anything special that you want us to take a look at, tweet it at me on that post really quickly if you want us to try to take a look at it now. Then started the complaints, Gonz. Huge area of downtown Ottawa impacted by protest. City warns. Ottawa officials warned residents on Friday that a large area of the city, about 13 blocks in diameter, will be impacted by demonstrations. They sent out a little tweet. Heads up, Ott City. The city of Ottawa tweeted, demonstrations are beginning in Ottawa today, and several streets in the downtown core and surrounding will be impacted. Let's see. Man. We've got a video of the trucks driving by Parliament here. Yes.
Everything on this website is loading slow. So this entire time I've been catching up to you, trying to, you talking about something. By the time you finish it is when I actually am able to show.
Yeah. And I'm kind of just breezing through it because I'm trying to catch us up here because there's more to talk about than just these updates. But I thought it warranted since, we've been so blessed to do this show on the day of so many like kind of historical events.
Yeah.
We were broadcasting on January 6th. We were there before anybody else was talking about it. Not anybody else, of course, but we
were reporting on it as
early as
happening.
You possibly could have reported on it. We were watching it live.
Yeah. Anyway.
But this is not that. This is something else. But of course, as we know, these types of this type of show of support and protest can often, go awry. I mean, that's how January 6th was. It was just a big, happy protest until things got weird.
I want to hear this honking.
Okay.
Let's try it here. I got stuff turned down. This is Ottawa.
That's in front of the Parliament building?
Yeah, looks, well, I don't know. It just says...
It's just Ottawa, yeah.
I mean, wow, this is...
They're definitely making it happen. Now, there was a little warning here.
Mm-hmm.
Police chief warns violent protesters will be arrested. Mm-hmm. Ottawa Police Chief Peter Slowly warned on Friday that any protester who turns violent will be arrested and prosecuted. They didn't put B. Quote, "Let me be very clear. We are prepared to investigate, arrest if necessary, charge and prosecute anyone who acts violently or breaks the law in these demonstrations or in association with the demonstrations." The police chief has also said, however, that so far protesters remained peaceful and uneventful. That's a burn. Uneventful. Hello. The whole thing is an event. But, I always think these statements are funny because I sure hope that you would arrest people if they're violent.
No kidding.
And it's like, you're going to do your job. Okay, great. Thank you for doing your job. These warnings really serve more as sort of a signal to put in the media of like, ooh, expect something to go bad. Keep an ear out, create the vibe of danger when, citizens make their voices heard. That's funny. There's like 3 updates in a row, which is just like honking. Everybody's honking.
Yeah, a lot of
honking. Police repeat warning that violence will be punished is the next update.
There's no violence.
Okay.
It's funny how they're like, hey, we're gonna punish you if you guys get violent, and then no one gets violent, and they're like, no, seriously,
we're gonna do it.
We're gonna punish you if you get violent, and people are like, okay, all right.
Then they, I know it's fun. It's funny. But it's also so transparent. Yeah. They do another little update about reviewing what Trudeau has said. He hasn't changed anything, not that I've seen. Why are Canadian truckers protesting? Yeah, we know that. Okay. Oh, Ottawa closes bridge due to protests. That's how you do it. You shut off the bridges. You shut the access down. And oh no, trucks have stopped showing up. I guess nobody cares.
They can't plug every hole.
Ottawa officials.
Where's the off-road trucker?
Yeah, they're going to have to start supply dropping them in. Ottawa officials have closed another major thoroughfare as the protests continue. Ooh, another major thoroughfare. This time, the Alexandra Bridge. Quote, Alexandra Bridge closed demonstration. The city of Ottawa tweeted, OPS directing traffic, duration unknown. So yes, this traffic control is really their only way of trying to control the situation. Of course, You've got trucks and cars on the road. If you don't want them in the city, you just shut down the thoroughfares and stuff like that. So we saw that the police and other reports are, warning about violence and things getting out of control. And we really mean it. We're going to arrest you if you're mean. Well, if you go over to the GoFundMe, this was very interesting. They're up to $7.5 million fundraising. Wow. There was an update posted by one of the team members here And I would like to read a couple pieces of it. It opens up with the Freedom Convoy has inspired truckers from across Canada, the United States, and now the world. The Freedom Convoy to Canberra is one example and has already started in Australia. So now you have the Australian truckers getting on it again. See, and this is the danger. This is the real danger that the elites, like, you think it's just about Canada, and it's not. This is about the entire world. And,
Chinese truckers, Indian truckers, Antarctic truckers.
Oh, you got to be careful. Yeah, Antarctic truckers. It's funny. Chinese truckers, they'll have to deal with the kill bots if that happens.
Yeah.
But, it's spreading. That's the real grassroots thing here. So this convoy is not just about Canada alone, but it's about, other freedom loving communities that see that, something can work. They give a little mention about the Australia trucker campaign GoFundMe that they're working on, funding. Mm-hmm. Now, further on down, I thought this is what's interesting because they put out a little notice. It says this: we cannot stress enough how important it is for everyone to do the following. So this is a message to everybody involved. 1, do not enter any government building or government property under any circumstances. 2, treat all police officers with respect. Frontline police officers are already under significant pressure from powerful politicized individuals and local politicians. They are our fellow Canadians, and the police in regions like Peel defended us when they refused to enforce Doug Ford's draconian COVID restrictions on citizens last year. Please do not put frontline workers in a difficult position.
Officers.
Always be respectful. Even if they issue you a citation, just know that most of them are doing so under duress. 3, keep calm. If you see individuals attempting to bait other truckers and attendees into conflict, gosh, these guys are so smart. If you see individuals attempting to bait other truckers and attendees into conflict, report them to the police and our staff, or look to others around you to help with de-escalation. Sometimes it merely requires one calm head in a group to temper us all. Don't hesitate to be the negotiator. 4, do not make any type of threat. Threat leads to escalation, which could lead to violence. Please do your absolute best to stifle any aggressive rhetoric. As you know, the legacy media will be present and will use this as ammunition against our movement. Their business model is built on a strategy of destroying reputations. Do not help them profit from destroying your reputation. If we keep calm and show love and support for one another, many things will happen. We will eventually cause the government to reverse its policy on COVID passports and vaccine mandates, as the UK has recently done. We will meet new friends, develop relationships, and there will likely be people who meet during this peaceful protest and fall in love and build a life together.
He's so optimistic.
It sounds like
I love how optimistic this is.
I know. It kind of sounds like a Canary Cry meetup. Let's not sacrifice such a bright future for all of us by losing our temper. This is the first step in a long journey, and it goes on. Oh, this is interesting, though. This is the first step in a long journey to a new golden age of freedom and understanding for one another. Let's build that future together. There will be a follow-up press release later. Okay, so there you go. Now, the reason I read this is because, exactly as it states, the legacy media, or as we call it, the corporate mainstream news media, that they are just itching. They're just waiting for something to go wrong so they can turn this into a January 6th. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a setup. I mean, not a setup, but this is the kind of situation that can easily be turned with just a few very well placed, agents provocateurs. Or bad media coverage or things like that. So I think it's very important that they did this. They put this on the official Freedom Convoy GoFundMe page. It's an official statement, official rules. And anybody working, acting outside of this rule is acting on their own. This was very smart. I don't know if we saw anything like this on the January 6th. But as I mentioned with the the Freedom Mandate March in DC recently, where Brett Weinstein, stayed back so he could be sort of a witness that no bad intentions were planned on. This is very smart, to put it publicly. We not only don't plan any violence or whatever, but we strictly are telling people not to, not to just not be violent, but also to actively work towards turning down violence of others.
Right. It looks like that note was written by Tamara Litch. So,
yes,
founder.
Yes, exactly.
Organizers.
One of the main organizers. And then I just wanted to pop in this headline next up, just as comparison. This is from CP24, which I believe is a Canadian outlet. Just a headline. Police prepare for possible violence as fringe groups latch onto trucker convoy.
You mean the intelligence agencies have been deployed to create an event?
Canadian CIA.
Yeah, to create the stress event that will eventually allow Trudeau to unleash the militants that will shut down this entire thing. An EMP bomb to shut down all the trucks.
Whatever agent provocateurs have joined the convoy. The false flag plans are laid. So be prepared. It reads exactly like that. It's a long article, and we're already reading lots of long things, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it is basically like, if you know what you're doing, which our listeners now should be able to analyze and deconstruct for themselves, is basically like, yeah, we're going to get you. We've got some fringe guys in there. They're going to do something.
Look, they even say Deputy Chief Steve Bell voiced concerns about parallel groups that intelligence suggests will also turn up to the protest. What intelligence?
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
They say it right in there.
Intelligence. You mean like the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency?
Exactly. Yeah. They are plain and simple saying that, there are groups latching on to cause trouble.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had fun with it's funny. They took out the Elon Musk update in that timeline.
No, it was on page 3. That's where I saw it.
All right. Settle down. Well, let's just to list some of the fun people tweeting about it. You have Elon Musk. You got Jordan Peterson. You got Joe Rogan. You got Russell Brand is even supporting it.
All right.
Yeah. So, you got a ton of these global celebrities and sort of influencers and stuff like that
Be careful. Who are
on board.
It could be. This could be part of the false awakening.
Well, it could be anything. But that's the point. The point is that the Canadians right now, I have never seen a Canadian event influence the world like this has. I mean, it's very impressive. Not that, I'm not saying that Canada, doesn't influence the world in other ways, but for in one afternoon, having the entire world talking about this trucker envoy to raise almost $8 million to have A-list celebrities and Illuminati members, praising the attempts here. And thank you. I'm over here now on my tweet, just scrolling through. There's some updates on the route, passing through Quebec. Oh, East Convoy route. Yeah, there's like a bunch of different routes.
I was going to say, even if they shut down certain parts, I'm sure there are people that will help get the truckers to to where they need to go.
Well, and that's the hilarious part about the the stories about how we only saw 100 trucks.
Yeah,
like okay, you saw 100 trucks at one time on one road. They are literally coming from all directions, crossing national borders, finding new routes. I mean, these are truckers. If anybody could find a way to get into your city, these guys know every little route to take. So yeah, there you go. I'm liking it. I don't know if there's any big, huge. Hopefully, it is more of the uneventful type of situation, with the definition of eventful, meaning something bad happens, something that can be used, something that the mainstream media is just giddy to report on. I think it's good to avoid that type of thing. So it's almost like the less we hear about it from CNN and NBC, the better. There is somebody. Thank you to Amy. Oh, this is Amy. Amy. This is our field reporter. Amy is sending some stuff to us on Twitter here. We've got a screenshot of support from all over the world on social media. United Arab Emirates, Kentucky, USA, Australia, Scotland, Ireland, Trinidad and Tobago, Albany, Oregon, Kentucky again, Sweden, Bulgaria. Oh my gosh, this is truly Italy, Netherlands, Denmark, New Jersey, Czech Republic, everywhere.
Wow.
This is a lot. Massachusetts, Louisiana, Carolina, Canada, Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, worldwide. Okay, well, there you go. Canadian truckers and American truckers who are jumping in, helping out. This is really a whole continent-wide, activity. We're with you, and especially our Canary Cry truckers. If you're a Canary Cry trucker out there and you're up in Canada, go to CanaryCry.NewsTalk.com. Hit that little green button. Leave us a voice message. Give us some real boots on the ground reports there. And we'll keep track of it, at least throughout the day. We'll probably move on here in a second because we have a wonderful little shift into our next segment. But before we do that, Gonz, do you have anything else to say about the truckers?
I have that. Anytime there's social movements like this, I always have that 2-part thing where on one level, 100% behind, obviously the truckers and the freedom, power of the people, the whole thing. Just it is
any really, anti-elite thing.
Yeah, it truly is sort of the way I think we can fight back in a certain way against the overt overstepping of authority of people like Trudeau. So on that front, I say I'm 100% down. But there's another part of me that's always a little bit not skeptical, but just cautious,
wary, cautious.
Yeah, when there is a movement that picks up so quickly, and it's not, it's not that the people that are supporting the truckers here have any ill intention whatsoever. I'm more worried about the higher level social engineers who know what strings to pull, who to make angry, who to deploy in some kind of movement to create social change or create social tension that brings about change. And so
the Aikido, the social engineering Aikido,
letting them sort of bring themselves down. And that doesn't happen unless they gain momentum and that kind of thing. So in that context, I am just, cautiously looking at this thing, but again, on more of a practical level, I'm 100% behind the truckers. I'm 100% behind the people supporting this thing. And, great, you got all these celebrity types jumping on board, but this also is that's the thing that really drives the suspicion for me, or the suspicion begins, is Elon Musk saying truckers rule and Joe Rogan. And is it just a natural thing that occurred where everyone's starting to pay attention, or is there an element of design? And that's, I guess, kind of the question.
It's interesting. If it were other people, I would be more suspicious. The trend that we've been seeing Russell Brand go in recently, this is totally on brand. I mean, I keep track. I keep track of what Brand's up to. I mean, and he's going full.
Yeah, but he's still new agey, right? He's got the new agey thing, but he's super awake to the whole Illuminati, New World Order.
And he's more, socially minded. Right. His is coming from like a social mindedness. He's not, he's obviously not anything near some sort of Orthodox Christianity. His spiritual things you can certainly disagree with. And I'm not defending or attacking him whatsoever. I'm just saying the content of his stuff recently is all anti-Great Reset, anti-establishment, pro-trucker, pro, nurses, anti-health department, pharma. And recently he's been getting like way deeper too, like deeper than you think a mainstream person would.
Well, it's part of the revelation of the method. Anyways, yeah. I'm not trying to make a whole thing about Russell.
Sure. But Joe Rogan, I'm not surprised by. Yeah. That's kind of his thing. He's a working man's podcaster. At least that's his brand. And Elon Musk doesn't surprise me either.
Yeah.
When I'm most worried is when like US senators start getting on board, or corporations, or like, people who wouldn't normally support it start supporting it. That's when okay, they're getting ready to do some.
When Pepsi is like, we love our truckers, they ship millions of Pepsis across the world.
Yeah, right. Which sounds silly, but like we've literally seen it over and over and over.
Yeah.
Corporations do this. And when I say corporations, I also count in politicians as their representatives as well. Mm-hmm. So anywho, I understand and agree with you, but I'm not fully triggered. But you're right. The cautiousness. Oh, my gosh. Oh, these things can go wrong in so many ways. But I am happy to see that they're trying at least to set a standard, set a precedent. And, with some proactiveness of the crowd in the convoy, at least catching everything on film, documenting everything, reporting every violent act to the police immediately, putting all of this on paper, much like with the Ray Epps, whatever his name is. From January 6th. Mm-hmm. I mean, Ray Epps continues to be one of the main points of information that threatens to pull apart the mainstream narrative. And, and that's just one guy. If you could catch a few Ray Epps on camera and document them and even get them arrested on the day, then you stand a much better chance of not having the narrative taken away.
Well, that's part of the brilliance, I think, of the GoFundMe, just like the whole, the update that they wrote, and just the sort of the parameters of what they believe, what they stand for. And because what it does by really pushing against any kind of violent protest, it does. The only conclusion that the general public can have is if, somebody acts on this and is reported by mainstream media is like, oh, see, look at this trucker movements, look how violent they've gotten, or whatever it turns out to be, or maybe nothing. But if it goes in that direction, anybody who's normal, just thinking about stuff, would have to realize that, wait a minute, they called for some kind of, no violence. So the people committing violence, who are they? Are they not? Are they just fringe people that are misguided, or can we start getting public awareness of the fact that perhaps there are actual instigators for this kind of thing?
Yeah.
I mean, those are the only possibilities left. It's a fringe rogue group, or it's an instigated, like an actually organized group. And oftentimes they're one and the same, depending on where you're looking at the group from. So anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing how this unfolds, and hopefully this is a little bit of a retreat from the New World Order in terms of some of the government or bureaucratic issues are concerned. But it's tough, man. It could truly be historically a turning point where or like how news events of this magnitude get reported in a very transparent kind of way, where anybody looking back 10 years from now will be like, oh yeah, that whole freedom convoy thing, that's when we really started a more
it could be a marking point for sure. And and I think a lot of that, again, you're the context of reporting is a big deal. I mean, we saw what happened during January 6th. We see now how we're a year and some change later, and it's still going. It's still it
point
is
of
what they
contention
crafted it to be, and they won't let it go. And that's just the mainstream, corporate media. But if the people do the documenting, and enough people pay attention to the people documenting, really changing what is the word?
The nature of how information spreads or how it gets reported. Yeah, paradigm
That's
shift.
the word. A paradigm. If we can, I think you're right. This could be at best, it could be a lot of things, but oh my gosh, how great would it be if it was a paradigm shift for information?
With
now,
sociological change.
Those listening to this show, we already have that paradigm shift. Yeah. You're ahead of the deal. But what if it was even bigger? And this could be it. And that's why I think, getting some Canary Cry reporters on the job, some crowdsourced boots on the ground reports coming in at the audio message leaving device at Canary Cry NewsTalk could be a part of that. So we could participate in that paradigm shift right now on this show. So there you go. Anybody, especially if you're up at the trucker place, Canada, get at us with some voice messages. Try to really nail it on some of those reports. We'd love to do it. Now, to bring us into the next segment, Gonz.
Okay. A little bridge.
What?
A little bridge.
A little bridge story here. This one I saw. It came out last week and almost brought it to the show. I don't think we did, but it was a great little segue here. CNN.com. Perfect, right? Mm-hmm. CNN.com headline. This is when I was looking for news about the trucker convoy. This came up. This is CNN's trucker report from last week, and they haven't mentioned anything else about truckers since then. CNN.com headline, a nurse frustrated by staffing shortages and career obstacle leaves hospital job to drive 18-wheeler, baby. Woo! The nurses are going truck driving. After years of caring for surgery patients at a Canadian hospital, a veteran nurse has left the profession to start a new high-demand career as a long-haul truck driver. I love how it's a Canadian nurse, too. Lee Gorham, 42, said she loved being a nurse, but frustrations over persistent staff shortages, which she said started before the COVID-19 pandemic, and a lack of advancement led her to look for new opportunities. I'm glad they put that in there because there's this narrative that the staff shortages and problems with nurses started during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. This has been going on for a long time. Yeah. We have been torturing our nurses, and I just mean all of, the establishment. It happens in the US here, but also in Canada. We've been torturing nurses, asking them to take care of more and more people for less and less pay for a long time. And the pandemic was just a good thing to blame it on. Her boyfriend, who is also a truck driver and an independent owner-operator, suggested she might like life on the open road. Quote, I was just going to regret my career being where it was, and not being able to advance was really maddening to me, Gorham told CNN, quote, so I just needed to do something else. Gorham's career changes comes from the trucking industry's struggles to fill a huge number of vacancies to help shore up the struggling supply chain. In October, the American Trucking Association said the industry was short 80,000 drivers. Gorham enrolled in a 12-week truck driving program last October, spending almost $8,000, $10,000 Canadian, to get her license. Now she and her boyfriend drive together. Quote, eventually we're going to be trading off, like I'm going to sleep while he's driving, but right now I'm still training. It's almost like we're one independent super driver, she said. What a fun relationship they have. Gorham talked to CNN from a truck stop in Tom Brooks, Virginia on Wednesday, where the couple had stopped on the way to South Carolina. They were headed back north on Friday to haul a load of tires to Quebec and will then make a run to Indiana. So this is, she was a nurse, was boots on the ground in the whole COVID thing, turned into a truck driver, and then, Justin Trudeau came along and made that hard for her, too. Before she started driving, Gorham hadn't traveled much or even left New Brunswick province very often over the past 20 years. Now she's getting to see a lot of the U.S. and Canada from the cab of the 18-wheeler. Gorham was inspired to become a licensed practical nurse by the healthcare workers who cared for her dad, who died of pancreatic cancer at 40. Quote, "It was something that I just took off with, and I absolutely loved it. And for a long time," she said, "I couldn't even imagine doing anything else." Gorham worked at St. John Hospital in New Brunswick for almost 16 years in neurosurgery and then general surgery. She applied to go back to school for her bachelor's degree so she could become a registered nurse, but her application kept getting rejected. Gorham said she'd gotten about as high as she could in the career ladder without upgrading her qualifications. The New Brunswick government has been working to increase the number of available nursing school, blah, 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 meow, meow, meow. Let's keep moving here. They talk about how she's being held back in her career due to education issues. "This nursing problem has been there my entire career," Gorham said. "The pandemic is just showing the real stress of the situation." I'm going to scroll down. It's more nurse stuff here. Shortages of nurses. Again, they kind of do this thing where it's like, there's not enough nurses, and so they're being overworked, and now she's leaving, so there's even less nurses. And what? She's just driving a truck? What's more important, lady? CNN, nursing or trucking?
CNN has never provided any solution to any of these problems with overworked hospital workers or nurses or medical whatever.
No.
And it's because they are bought and paid for by the people that are going to roll out the robots. It seems pretty clear to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that was the thing about Elon Musk supporting it. It's kind of a political move for him too.
Thing and everything.
Yeah, he needs to be supportive of truckers because
Cybertruck got pushed back. He's like, we need the truckers to give us the parts.
Yeah, or he just wants to be on their good graces because he knows he's going to take all their jobs away.
Yeah, there you go. That was the other angle. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see here. Gorham said driving. Okay. I'm just going to finish it out. Gorham said driving is more relaxed than the hectic, always on the go life at the hospital, but maneuvering the massive 13-speed vehicle presents new challenges. Quote, "It is not anything like my standard car," she said. "There's a lot of hazards involved in it. I find a lot of people are unaware how difficult it really is." Well, there you go. Good job, Gorham. And there's a good chance. I mean, she started trucking this month, basically. or I guess back in December or something.
Yeah, it's part of the convoy.
Yeah, she might be part of the convoy. I mean, they said right here in the article that she, goes back and forth from Canada, and they don't mention her vaccination status.
That's very
anywhere.
Interesting. Make it a self-interest story, for the algos if they're searching stuff on CNN.
It's really funny. So, you search CNN for any reporting about the trucker, convoy, and you can't find it. But you find this story about a woman who left nursing to become a truck driver and is probably in the truck convoy.